Ultimate Spider-Man number 17 from Marvel Comics finds Harry Osborn secretly returning to don the Green Goblin suit and team up with Mysterio to wage war on the ultimate Sinister Six. What's Spider-Man's part in all this? Let's find out in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Comical Opinions. After reading Ultimate Spider-Man number 17, I'm confused. Maybe I'm just baffled. Maybe I'm just not getting it. Maybe there's something here, something that's completely obvious that as a reviewer who spends a lot of time every single week reviewing a lot of comics, I'm just not seeing the forest for the trees. Maybe it's me, but I have to ask, how can Marvel allow an ongoing series about Spider-Man to get printed month in and month out with only a handful of the total run containing an actual Spider-Man in the comic? The Maker returns in less than 6 months. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but it's later in 2025. So how did Jonathan Hickman and the editors think the Ultimate Webhead would be ready in time when he's not even bothering to show up? Let's talk about the pros and cons, and you can see what I'm talking about here. Starting with what's positive and great about Ultimate Spider-Man number 17. Things are really starting to heat up. You feel like there's momentum building towards something, and it's not just the Maker. In this case, we're talking about some kind of big confrontation with Kingpin and the Ultimate Sinister Six. Harry and the Mysterios, and that kind of sounds like the name of a 60s band, begin a war that's sure to give the Kingpin a lot of headaches. As with most of Jonathan Hickman's comics, the developments in isolation are kind of interesting. The scenes are well done, the character moments are all intriguing and very well captivating. I like this issue for the individual moments and the little bits and pieces of things that are happening, even though there's a little bit of scattering going on and not really coming together as one big idea. There's a lot of little ideas and I like them all. But then we have the one glaring problem. What is that problem? What is the big problem with Ultimate Spider-Man number 17? Where the hell is Spider-Man? Why do we have to keep recycling this criticism over and over again? There's no earthly sense to having a Spider-Man comic where Spider-Man doesn't show up, he isn't remotely connected to any of the events that are unfolding, and he doesn't appear to be a factor for the Kingpin, the Sinister Six, the Maker's Council, or even the Maker. In effect, Spider-Man is completely irrelevant in his own comic, and I don't know how else to say it other than that's a failure of epic proportions from Marvel editorial and Jonathan Hickman. How off the mark do you have to be to forget to include the main character in his own title? Well, let's find a bright spot in this whole thing, talking about the art. We have David Messina, who steps in for Marco Checchetto once again for a bold set of visuals that complements Checchetto's style without outright copying it or trying to mimic it in some way. Messina's signature bold outline style with a little bit of drop shadow creates visual pop, and even the most mundane scenes, and we do have a few mundane scenes in this issue with a lot of conversation going on. And the one brief fight that there is, and it's not even much of a fight, but it's there, looks pretty excellent. Let's recap what happened last time. In Ultimate Spider-Man number 16, we learned that Mysterio isn't a person, it's a shared mantle that's passed around a coven or a council of 5 people, which includes Gwen Stacy. Gwen and her mastically powered witches, I guess is what you would call it, have subtly manipulated events behind the scenes in order to uncover the truth. In this case, their truth is their belief system that a parallel timeline exists and Earth 6160, as we know it, is a lie, perpetrated by an unknown mastermind. They are, of course, correct. It's the Maker. In the end, Gwen and her coven found the evidence that they were correct, and now they move on to the next stage of their mission, their quest, if you will, which is to inform the world of what's going on. Also, on the side, Mysterio saved Harry, but used illusions to let everyone think he was still dead. And that brings us to Ultimate Spider-Man number 17, in which case the war for New York begins, but as we've already discovered, without Spider-Man. The issue begins with Harry secretly visiting Uncle Ben to tell him that he's alive and that everyone needs to prepare for what's coming. Later, Gwen receives a briefing in Oscorp because she's now the interim owner in Harry's presumed death situation. Robbie Robertson is sitting in the office, and he's another Mysterio. He gives Gwen information that appears to be very useful in the form of a report. We don't know what's in the report, but it seems useful. When Robbie leaves, the Kingpin shows up with his lieutenant, Mr. Wesley, to explain that his business dealings with Harry are expected to continue in spite of Harry's death. When Kingpin leaves for other appointments, he leaves Mr. Wesley to handle the documentation. But we find out that Mr. Wesley is also a Mysterio, and he has the magic amulet that they're using and passing around with each other. It's Gwen's turn, so he turns over the amulet, and she has 1 week to do with it what she wants. Elsewhere, we catch up with Harry's next stop. He enters a secret lab in the back of a bodega where he set up some kind of facility for Otto Octavius to continue his work. Remember, in the last issue, Gwen fired him. His job is to repair and upgrade the Goblin suit and do some other things like security and whatnot. Otto tells Harry the upgrades are complete and he needs more money for components for a special project that we don't know anything about. Presumably it's going to lead to him becoming Dr. Octopus, I'm not sure. Harry agrees and he hesitantly puts the Goblin suit on because he expects to be berated by his father's voice and personality through the suit's AI. His expectations are of course correct. Through the rest of the issue, the suit is just badgering him mercilessly. Which leads us to Green Goblin and Gwen, dressed up as Mysterio, hopping on the Goblin glider to a secret bomb-making factory run by Mr. Negative. Harry evacuates the indentured workers while Gwen takes care of the guards, using all her Mysterio magic powers. She then blows up the factory once every civilian is safe. Harry seems uncomfortable with Gwen's sort of vicious methodology, even though it sort of echoes the way Harry was talking to Peter in the early part of the series about doing what you gotta do. The issue ends with Harry getting a message to Peter Parker that it's time to come home and take up the fight. Final thoughts, what do we think about Ultimate Spider-Man number 17? It would be a darn fine Spider-Man comic if Spider-Man actually showed up in it. Jonathan Hickman delivers another Spider-Man free issue, opting instead to have Green Goblin and Mysterio start a war against the Sinister Six. Okay, fine, sure. The individual moments are fine for what they are, and David Messina's art looks great, but the lack of Spider-Man is well past, frankly, ridiculous at this point. And I'm not sure what Hickman is trying to do, but whatever it is, it's not good. Therefore, Ultimate Spider-Man number 17 from Marvel Comics earns a 6 out of 10. You know, maybe I'm the only one that seems to be berating on this issue that you can't have a Spider-Man comic without Spider-Man in it, and that's a big problem. But nobody seems to be making a fuss other than me, I guess. Maybe I'm not alone and I'm just not hearing it. But let me know what you think. Is the fact that this Ultimate Spider-Man line, which is now at issue 17, has only had Spider-Man show up maybe 5 or 6 times, do you consider that a problem? Do you think that's okay? Am I not seeing what's so great about it and just kind of glossing past what the greatness of this series because it doesn't really need Spider-Man? Is that how you feel? Let me know in the comment section down below. So, thank you very much for joining, and stay tuned through the outro for more reviews just like this one.